Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Wise. Today we are going to discuss the topic of loose piece. Okay, let us try to understand what is a loose piece. Usually loose piece is a term used for a piece which is undefended. Okay, so loose piece is usually a bishop which is pinning the knight and it's undefended. Okay, so I have taken a position from a game. Okay, like the topic which I started a few days ago. So we are going to have game positions, and from where we will try to decide whether a combination should happen. And at the same time, I am using a theme, that is the loose piece over here. So in the description, I will be giving the starting moves of the game, how we reach the position here. You can check the description below. So here now we see that the knight on e5 is attacking the knight on f3. The bishop is pinning the knight. Okay, let's try to do the same way. We'll try to count the development first and determine whether a combination is likely or not. So first what we see, white has two developed pieces. Okay, the pawn has reached the 5th rank. The pawn on 5th rank usually can be counted as one full development. Sometimes it can be counted as half a development, depending on the position in the center. So here we can say that we have got at least 2.5 developments. Black has 2, and we see white's both bishops and the queen, they are all open. The black king's diagonal is somewhat weak. Okay, especially because we can see that after bb5 check, c6 there is attack by the d5 pawn. That's why see we counted the pawn on the 5th rank. So from this what we can see, white has more activity than black. Secondly, apart from activity, black has broken the opening principle. What he has done, he has developed the queenside bishop first and pinned the knight. Okay, which often fails, like I have discussed in the topic of early pin. Okay, so from this position, white started thinking that black has not played naturally, so he wants to exploit the mistake made by black. Okay, so white starts thinking of more forceful moves. Let's look at what are the candidates. Why white starts thinking of a combination? I told you the reason. So now we will try to find the moves to execute. So one is the bb5 check, immediately trying to exploit the diagonal. Second is knight into e5, covering the square on d7 and attacking the bishop. Well, white is sacrificing the queen after the move bd1. Okay, but we can say that that position we will have to calculate more. So benefit of finding moves is, like see, knight into e5, bishop d1, we have the move bb5 check at hand. We already saw that move. Okay, so white went into calculation with this line. We'll check what happens in the game. So white started thinking in the line knight into e5. So I will try to calculate a bit. As I told you the moves, knight e5, bd1, bishop b5 check, to which if the queen is brought in middle, see we have noted that white has already taken the knight for free. The bishop on d1 is hanging, so white will get bd7 check, and then he can take the queen. Let's play the moves and see. Knight e5, bishop takes d1, okay, and now bishop b5 check. So this was the reason that white went into this line. Okay, now what happens? If queen comes to d7, then just bishop takes the queen. So we got the queen back, we are already a piece up, and after the move kd8, we can do knight f7 check, king takes the bishop, and the rook is not running away. So we simply take the bishop, either with king or the knight. Okay, both are fine. And next move we will get the rook for free. After the move bb5, black had the only other move c6. So this was the starting point which white thought that this is worth going further into the variation. Of course, when playing the game, white cannot give up the queen by just looking at bb5 c6 d into c6. He has to see further. Let's go to the game. D into c6, and now black is queen up, okay, but there are serious threats and it's very difficult to save everything. And in most variations and with best play also, white will at least have an extra piece. Let's see all the variations. White wants to play c7 check So queen d7, then bishop d7, checkmate. That is the threat. So let's go one by one. So bc is blunder, of course, because bishop c6 check, queen d7, same like the line we discussed just now. Bishop d7 check, king goes to d8, knight f7 check, king d7, and instead of taking the rook when this bishop will run away, white can just play knight d1 or king d1. Here breaking of castle is not a big problem, but anyway nd1 is a slightly better move, and next move we will get the rook. So after we get the rook, black has only 3 pieces left, okay, and white will have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 pieces over there. So he will have rook and a piece extra. Okay, let's go back to the game. So one of the most obvious moves is now a6. Okay, but to a6 comes c7 check, and again after a into b5, c into d8 check, taking the queen. Okay, then rook will take on d8, and then knight takes d1. So once we take knight into d1, we'll note that both has 2 rooks. Okay, and there is 1 extra knight for white. So the position is winning for white. So black is basically compelled to move his queen away now. Let's look at all the queen moves. So there is qc7, qb6 and qf5. Let's go into each of one of them. So let's start with qc7. After the move qc7, of course c7 check is now stopped, but there comes cb7 check. Now if the queen interposes, then pawn into rook and the pawn becomes queen, and it's a checkmate because the bishop is pinning the queen. Okay? So after cg7, king d8 forced, and now instead of b8 queen, white has a very strong move, knight f7 checkmate. See the interesting position, it's a picturesque position. Bishop is guarding e8 and d7, knight gives check and the king cannot go to c8. Okay, so black gets mated over here. So let's go to qb6 now. After qb6, white again goes cb7 check, king comes to d8. This time knight f7 is not a checkmate, so pawn takes rook, and he will promote the pawn to a queen. Check, king has to move to c7, after which knight d5 check can win the queen. Okay, let's see, king has only place on d6. Okay, so we cannot mate him over there, but we can win the queen, and it's a totally winning game. Okay, let's look at the move queen a5. So after queen a5, again there is cb7 check. He can take queen into b5. This was possible in the qb6 line as well, but then and here in both cases, b into 8, queen check. Now see, king cannot go to d7, forced to play qb8, and then queen b8 checkmates. Okay, so qb5 is also losing. We check that basically all lines are losing. Black can just try to move the bishop and maybe try to guard the diagonal. So there is just one more move, bishop to g4. Okay, after bishop to g4, the idea is to use the bishop to block the diagonal. Here actually interestingly, white can do knight g4 also, because bc bishop c6 wins the queen anyways, and there is threat of c7, but white can simply play here cb7 check. This is easier, forcing bd7. Now the queen is overloaded, guarding the 8 rook and the d7 bishop. So bd7 check, queen d7, b into 8 queen, and see how the things continue further. Here after the move qd8, many will like to take queen d8, kd8, f7 and winning the rook, but qc6 check mates instantly, queen d7 forced and qd7 checkmate. So most of the variations are now complete. Okay, and what we see here, the position is totally losing for black. So why this has happened? Because black was violating opening principles. He played the same pieces. Again, he moved this knight twice, and that gave white an extra development, and because of the diagonal weakness, white was able to make a combination. Okay, so I am making this series in such a way that we will learn to use the tactics and we will understand why the tactics is happening. Okay, I hope you are enjoying the channel. Do like, share, subscribe the channel. Thanks for your time.